This is a super interactive joint. Could y'all just sit like in this middle vicinity? This is gonna be more interactive than the last one. Thank you all for coming out to the Words, Beats, and Life, of course, to the Words, Beats, and Life Festival. DMV is home, so we had to come back and be a part of this. It's all about educating, empowering artists, especially independent artists. And this is about monetizing your career, monetizing your art, your gifts, your talents. If you have a workbook, it is super interactive. We have a couple extras, so if you mess up or if you want to take another one to do the exercise again when you have more time, feel free to grab. But we're gonna run through this. We'll go through the presentation and then I'll run through the workbook. All right, so first about 247 Artists. So we are a bridge between creativity and business, empowering artists to live their passion. So if you're an artist, you're also a business, which is super difficult. Those two things usually don't mix, they don't connect. When we started this company, we started this platform to help support independent artists so that we could turn our passions, our talents into a living. I think that is more important now than ever, especially with the rise of AI and job cuts and budget cuts. I think there are gonna be a lot of people who are trying to figure out how to make it and survive. And the first thing to do is to tap in with your gifts to make that happen. This photo is actually from our DMV meetup. So a little background, 247 Artists was actually birthed in the DMV. We had a studio here for years called House Studios. And while we had the studio, we came up with the brand 247 Artists, the name, because the goal was how do we help artists live their passions 24/7? How do we help an artist be an artist 24/7? We didn't do anything with it. It was a name that was said. And then years later in the pandemic, when all of our friends were trying to figure out how to survive, it became a real thing. All right, so we are in a digital age of music. What that means is everything is online, everything is connected. Previous ages might have been like the vinyl era with records where you had to go to a record store. Then the CD era, which allowed you to like skip and, have more control. You could have more music on a disc. Then the MP3 era, which was like the transition from the physical analog to the digital. And now we are straight digital, meaning most people are consuming music, consuming content, connecting on a phone, on a device. It's very rare that people actually connect in person. In fact, there are people in this room that I spend a lot of time with that I only see a couple hours a year in person, but I feel like I'm with them all the time. That's the new world. And so what we're trying to do is help you unlock the potential of the digital age, embrace innovation through music production, distribution, and monetize through multiple streams. Simply put, I'm just gonna show you how to make money on the internet. All right, to get started, we're gonna go through the types of royalties you can make as an artist. So I'm gonna start with the obvious, which is streaming. If you're on Apple, Spotify, Tidal, if someone plays your music, you make money. Downloads are still a thing, so you can still sell downloads, whether that's on Bandcamp or iTunes. Publishing, so if you write or produce, you can make money as a writer or producer, meaning someone else can perform the song and you can still get paid. Performances, so if you're performing, if you're singing, rapping, doing whatever on a microphone, on a stage, people will pay you for that, whether they're paying you in tickets or paying you a performance fee. Your direct sales like physicals, vinyl, now that cassettes are now, I think, coming back, I just saw. Merchandise, which is a given. I'm wearing one of our community members' merch, NEM's merch right now. And then digital music or digital platforms like Even allow you to create subscriptions. Grouped is another one where people can pay for access to you going live, access to content, or just access to like lyric books, discounts for tickets, exclusives, and people can pay one-off or subscriptions for that. So this is how you can make money as an artist. The beauty of this is before the digital era, you pretty much had to pick one or two of these and you had to work with someone else to do it. Whereas today, you can pretty much do it yourself. All the tools exist. It's simpler than ever. And with platforms like 247 Artists, you can learn how to do it from people who are actually doing it. We went through some of these, so fan subscriptions, fan clubs, live streaming, so Twitch is an example of that. Crowdfunding or direct donation, so GoFundMe, Kickstarter. These are the ways that you can generate revenue. And then brand partnerships is a big one. If you were in the last workshop, you heard me talk about how you can build organic and true brand partnerships by connecting through things that are naturally organic, naturally you, authentically you. Sync licensing, you can get your music on a screen. So a screen could be as big as a film, could be TV, or could even be Instagram or TikTok campaign. Music production services, so if you are a singer, songwriter, producer, if you play an instrument, you can get paid for that. So if you play the bass, you could have someone send you a track, you could put bass on it, and you could charge them up front, and you could charge them for a piece of the publishing, which means you get paid both up front and on the back end. And then content creation. So content is king or queen. You can monetize your creativity just creating content, which could have nothing to do with music, and you can still get paid to do that. All right, so I'm gonna run through some of these, and then we're gonna focus on the workbook because I really want y'all to go through this workbook exercise, which I think will be very helpful. The key to royalties. So if you're someone who's looking to make money through streaming, the keys to that are really marketing. That's no surprise to anyone, but specifically playlisting, social media promotion, and influencer posts. Those three things, those three avenues are the ways you grow your revenue on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon, doesn't matter which one. If you have a budget, there are marketing firms that you can pay that will almost guarantee these things, but they're not cheap, right? You're talking about at least a $7,000 to $15,000 budget to start, and you have to maintain that. So for every release, you'd have to pay that amount, and it's a long game. So if you go that route, let's say you got an inheritance, you won the lottery, or you came up with the bag, and you said, all right, I'm gonna focus on making my money through streaming, and you're gonna go through this route. If you have the time, you could literally reach out to every playlist directly, every curator directly until it breaks. If you have the money, you could pay somebody who does that. And there's a list that we have on our platform that you could go and call these digital marketing firms. They'll charge you, and there'll usually be a campaign. So it may be $5,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $15,000 a month. When you sign to a major, when you sign to an independent, that's what they do. They don't actually do a lot of this work themselves anymore. They'll usually hire a third party who will handle your playlist promotion, handle your pitching to influencers, handle your social media campaigns. And they'll say, okay, if we do a 6-month campaign at $5,000 a month, which is $30,000, our goal is if you do one release every month, for each release, we'll get you on at least 2 or 3 playlists with this many followers. We'll get at least this many influencers to use your sound, and we'll get at least this many views and looks through ad campaigns on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. That's how it works. $30,000 to make that back in streams has to be millions and millions of streams. Most people do not make that money back through streaming. So even if you go this route and you spend the $30,000, $20,000 to market through a marketing company, you have to have another revenue stream to make that money back, because it's not sustainable unless one of your songs hits. Hits meaning, oh man, this song just went viral and I've got 200 million streams on it. But that's like playing the lottery. It's like to hope or wish that happens, to hope or wish you have an Ice Spice moment is not a business model. So if you go this route, even with the labels, they're playing the long game. They'll spend the $30,000. They might make $15,000 back through streaming, and that $15,000 they lose, they're going to make it in other ways with the artists through one of the other revenue streams. Now, on a more local standpoint, what I would say is cost you nothing to collaborate with other artists in your network and to write songs for others in your network. So if you're a songwriter or producer or an artist and you have the ability to write or create songs, finding artists who have some traction, any traction, doesn't have to be the biggest artist in your community, but just someone who you know is consistent, putting out records and getting decent streams, provide those services to get a piece of their publishing, a piece of their streaming royalties, right? So as an artist myself, I may put out 6 songs a year, but as a songwriter, I may write and participate in 60 songs a year. So I have my 6 songs, and then I'm gonna work on 60 other songs. That combination is gonna generate royalties for me. And if I'm consistent with it, right, if that's my goal, I'm going to be a part of 60 songs this year. If you work with me, you know I always start with lists. I would create a list of all the artists in my city, in my area. I would rank them. I'd say these are the artists that I feel like are the top artists. This is the mid-tier. These are the lowest artists. And then I would literally start either from the top down, from the bottom up, or in the middle and go left, right. And it's a numbers game. I'm gonna reach out to the first person, no response. Second person, no response. Third person's gonna say something rude. Fourth person's gonna blow me off. Might get to the 15th person before someone's like, yes, and they still may not show up. But eventually on that list, someone's gonna show up. Yo, come through, got a session on Friday. You pull up, you write, you say, yo, I'll write for you, yo, and I just want, if the song makes money, I wanna make money. Just make sure I'm credited. And then that creates residual revenues. That's content, that session, that behind the scenes. And if one of those songs takes, you also participate in the success of that song, both financially and, oh, wow, you work with them? Oh man, you must be good. So a lot of times when people are looking to like collaborate up, which is cool, I always tell people to try to collaborate with folks who are on your level, or even folks who are like starting out, but have potential and have talent and are doing the work. Because what you don't know and no one knows is who someone's gonna be tomorrow. And I'd rather work with 60 people that I'm like, yo, you're talented and I think you're a dope person, than to wait for the biggest artist in my city to find me. All right, so for publishing royalties, the key here, we were just on a call with the community about this. You wanna make sure you're registering your songs in all the right places. We have a course where we're working on that'll be out pretty soon that walks through this entire process. But I just called out a few, so if you're not familiar with them, if you're taking notes, write it down or take a picture. But you want to make sure you have at least an account with a PRO, a performance rights organization, so that's a BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC. You want to sign up with Sound Exchange. They're based in Washington, D.C. So the secret for y'all who are here is you can actually reach out to Sound Exchange, and they do workshops and free events all the time in D.C. And then you want to sign up with the MLC, who handles mechanical licenses. They're also really responsive. So if you have any problems or questions, if you email them, they'll hit you back within a day, and they're usually on top of it. There are also a couple others like Song Trust that are a part of our workshop. But at a minimum, you want to make sure you have an account on all of these, and any music you're attached to is also on these. All right, direct sales. So CDs and vinyls, an extension of your music. There's a large group of people who now collect CDs, collect vinyls, like it's a collectible, almost like a Pokemon card or a basketball card. As you grow your audience and you can ask them, you can put polls out, you can do pre-sales. There are companies like CD Baby that still does vinyl. If you literally search buy vinyl, there are literally hundreds of companies now. They're on-demand companies that you can buy one-off vinyl, so you don't have to have a minimum of 100 anymore. And as long as you can sell something for more than it costs you, you'll make a profit. You're in business. So as you grow your audience, it's not something I would necessarily recommend for someone who doesn't have a fan base or following. But once you cross to a point where if you post something, you're getting hundreds of comments. If I put a song out, I'm getting thousands of plays. Like once you get to that place, then it's a numbers game. If I can get 1% of my followers or 1% of my fans to buy a vinyl for $50, a collectible, I can make X. And that's a business model. You can sell your music directly through a Bandcamp, or there are a couple other platforms that do it. I use Kokai, who's one of our 247 community members from DC in this example. He put out a record recently called Hump Day. You can buy the digital track and support him for $1. So the beauty of this model is it truly is about support, meaning this song can also live on Spotify and Apple and Tidal. But if you're a fan, if you really want to support me, you can head over to my Bandcamp, and for $1, you can support me. You may never listen on the MP3. You may not use the MP3 to make money, to listen to the music, but you're giving me the $1 for support. So that's the key here, is how do we get a percentage of our fans who really want to support us to give us the $1? Merch, again, I'm wearing one of our community members' merch. This one, I think you should start day one. I think if you're an artist, and the reason I say day one is if you have family and friends, they're usually the first people to buy your merch. Merch is a walking billboard. In your merch design, you'll see with NIM, you should have your artist name somewhere. And if possible, you should put a QR code the name of the project, or something, if nothing else. So if you're an artist and you got an EP out, if you're an artist and you got a single out, I don't care if you got 16 followers on Instagram, setting up a merch store costs you nothing. You can set up a merch store for free. We've got courses on that and checklists, but your merch should be a walking billboard early in your career. You can get to what we call the lines and colors later, which is the super fancy, look how creative I am and artistic I am. But your first editions of your merch should be simple. Artwork, name, QR code, track list, right? And if you don't believe me, next time you go to a concert, if you look at the merch that they sell at concerts, it's usually the artwork, the artist name, a picture of the artist, because when you leave that concert, they want you to go and be a walking billboard. So if you're an artist, I don't care how many followers you have, if nothing else, merch should be one of your top 3 revenue streams. Because even if you have 16 people following you on Instagram, if you just send a text message to everybody in your phone and a percentage of those people buy the merch, you got that many people who are now walking billboards. So if you go to church, if you have a job, if you got friends from high school, if you got people in your neighborhood, those are all potential people who will buy merch, may never listen to your music, but they're just walking billboards and it's revenue. Another thing about merch is you can pre-sell. So you can set up a Google form for free. I actually saw Eva do this and I was blown away. You could send it out, have a link on your story. You could text it to everybody. If 5 people order it, you then go to your fulfillment or your supplier, you order 5 shirts, you ship them out, and you just made 5 times whatever you sell the merch for, and you got 5 walking billboards. And you rinse and repeat that process over and over again. Another mistake I see artists making with merch is they come up with 30 designs and sell 3 of each. Come up with 1 design and sell 30 versions of it. Nike has 1 simple design, which is a check. And they'll do 100 different colors, 100 variations of that. Before they get to the fancy, super crazy Nike, they have the standard Nike check. Polo has a simple design of the Polo logo over your heart. And they'll come out with 100 different colors, but that simple design. Come up with something that people recognize over and over again. So once you start putting merch out and something works, double down on that over and over again. Like if I'm Nim and this shirt works, then I'm doing this reverse colors. Then I'm doing this with a blue shirt. Then I'm doing this with a green shirt. I'm gonna do this as many times as I have to until my next project comes out. Live performances, an easy one. You can perform starting at So Far Sounds. If you live in the DMV, you should know what So Far is. If you don't, search them. But So Far is literally a free show, free. You don't get paid, but they will allow you to sell merch. They'll allow you to take tips, but it's a guaranteed audience. How So Far works, they invite folks out to a random space, usually 30 to 60 people, and they'll invite 3 to 4 artists to perform. At times they will do a revenue share with the artist, but sometimes they don't. But the So Far model to me is your training grounds. It's where you go to get comfortable to talk and communicate, and how you transition, what songs work. If you're gonna do 3 to 4 songs, right? How do you put a cover in there so that you can get people involved? How do you do call and responses? How do you plug yourself? How do you do something as simple as halfway through your set, asking everybody to take their phone out and follow you real quick? If you have a unique name, how do you wear something and say, hey, follow me, my name is Yudu, it's Y-U-D-U, make a joke so they remember that. Like, that's what So Far is. That to me translates to the bigger stages. So start at a So Far, and then you should set a goal for like 100-person venue in your city. Then you go from 100 to 200 to 300 to 500. Before you worry about getting to the Fillmore and selling 2,000 tickets, right? Every artist should have a goal of, can I sell 100 tickets in my own city? That's like goal number 1. So you start at a So Far, you build up your chops, you get comfortable, and then you go from So Far to Pie Shop, you go from Pie Shop to Songbird, you go from Songbird to Union Stage, and Union Stage to, and you keep growing and growing and growing and growing. So again, merch should be a given. And if you can perform, it's not for everybody, but if you can perform, live shows should be a given. Live streaming is a great alternative to live shows. You can live stream on every platform. So Again, follow the money. If every platform allows for live streaming, that must mean that there's something to it. You can set up your laptop. You can get a little camera attachment for it, or you could just stream on your phone directly. You could do IG lives. You could do Facebook lives, YouTube lives. And a lot of people, I think, what keeps them from doing it is they know that when they start, they're going to get 1 to 2 people coming in and out. And that feels bad. Oh my God. I went live and only 2 people looked at me and I look like I'm not big. You're not big. That's cool. Like, that's where you want to start. I embrace those 2 people, because 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16. The only people that figure that out are the people who do it long enough. Everybody starts small. Everybody starts with nobody showing up. That's the secret. So once you can get over that and get to the, oh man, I went from 2 people to 200 people, it works. I'll use me as an example just so y'all understand it. I have no problem standing and talking in front of 8 people in the room, because I'll speak with the same confidence if 8,000 people in the room. That's how this works. But if I don't learn how to speak in front of 8 people in the room, and you give me a mic and now I'm standing in front of 8,000 people, what I'm gonna do? I am here to talk about monetizing music. Like, doesn't work. You gotta build up your chops. So you guys should be very confident, very comfortable, and it costs you nothing. But what it does let you know is, if you do a song and you get a bunch of reactions, oh, I gotta put that in my set. Oh, I should record a live version of that cover. Well, they really like that one. Oh, they didn't like that one. Right? That's what that becomes. So live performances is good. And then if you do live performances and you get 2 people to come in and you say, hey, if y'all like this, Cash App, Venmo, I pinned it, hook your homeboy up, homegirl up, and one of those 2 people send you $10, you just made $10 for going live. And once that happens one time, it's like a draw. You'll be like, oh, like, so you'll give me money to do this? Oh, okay. I'll be back on Friday. So just try it. Like, it sounds crazy until you think about the biggest artists in the world who do the exact same thing. Oh my God, Nicki Minaj is on tour. I'm gonna go to her tour for free? No, I'm gonna pay her. Or you're gonna pay her to go see her perform. So if they'll pay someone else, then they'll pay you too. But you're not giving them the opportunity. Direct fan support. So this is a newer model. Patreon obviously has been around for a little while. Even is now kind of taken off and designed specifically for musicians. But this model is really good when you cross over certain barriers. So I'll say this, when you get to, I'm confident I have 100 people who would give me at least $10, $20. That's when you want to try one of these. Because what you want to see is, of the 100 people, how many will give me $5? How many people will give me $10? And more importantly, what do they want access to? So this is where going live and creating content becomes a piece of that. Oh, okay. People like when they see the behind the scenes of me making the beats as a producer. That's what I'm going to get people to pay to see. Oh, people like being a part of my writing sessions and seeing how I come up with the lyrics. That's what I'll pay them for. Oh, people love when I go live. I'm just going to go live only for these people and have like a Q&A conversation. You can figure out, of the things that you do, what people want access for, and then you can charge them for that directly. And because everybody at this point knows that artists don't make a lot of money from Spotify and Apple and Tidal, fans don't have a problem supporting artists that they really care about. Might not be every fan, but again, if you have 1,000 followers, and of that 1,000 followers, 20 of them are like, I really want to see this person make it, 20 times 10 is $200. You can make $200 a month from your first 1,000 followers. You've got a business model, because now I just got to scale that from 1,000 followers to 2,000 to 4,000 to 8,000. So this is a really cool model, but I wouldn't start it until you kind of hit that. I think I can get 100 people to take out their credit card or Zelle or Venmo me. So one of the things that I don't see enough artists doing, again, I know it comes down to that ego, that inner voice that says, oh, you're going to look like you don't have it. You're going to look broke. You're going to look like you don't, is I don't see enough people doing Kickstarters and GoFundMes. And what that says is that they're not confident enough in their plan. Because if you knew, right, if you knew you only needed $5,000 and your career would take off, you would do anything to get that $5,000. And the only way I can explain that is like, I'll replace it. If I had a Lamborghini. Let me say Lamborghini. I'll say a Tesla Cybertruck. And I said, if you can get $5,000 in the next 90 days, I will give you this brand new Tesla Cybertruck. You would go out of your mind trying to get that $5,000. You would borrow, beg, steal, sell clothes. You would do whatever you could because you knew if I have $5,000, you was going to give me this Tesla Cybertruck. That's how confident you have to be in your career. But that confidence takes time, which is why you got to build up your shows, build up releasing, build up all of these activities. Because once something hits and you're like, oh, I figured this out. If I only had this much more, I could do that better. That's when I would go to a Kickstarter or GoFundMe, because now I'd say, oh, okay, I'm going to do a Kickstarter because if I can get this money, I'll be able to fill in the blank. It's all about confidence. Most people don't do this because they're afraid of looking stupid. But again, if you knew you would get that Tesla Cybertruck for $5,000, you don't care about looking stupid up front. Because you know, once I get this $5,000, I'm about to be riding crazy. So y'all can call me crazy now, but hey, you got $10 because I'm working on something. Hey, you got $50, I'm working on something. Hey, what you need to give me $100? I literally start writing a list. All right, I got grandma, I got my mom, you would go crazy trying to figure out who, like, if I can get 50 people to give me $100, all right, I got 50 people who give me $100. All right, like, that's how you would be thinking if you knew that. That's how you want to feel about your career. And this exercise should hopefully start pointing you guys in that direction so that you move with that confidence. Other avenues, brand partnerships and sync licensing. Here are the keys to these two. So for brand partnerships, start local. Start local where you are. And brand partnerships is always about giving value. The key to a successful brand partnership is that you are giving value to the brand. They already know that you need their money or you need their product. That's a given. What they have to figure out is, what are they getting from you? Everyone's going to the brand saying the same thing. Everybody goes to Airbnb and says, man, if you could give me an Airbnb, I would. Everybody goes to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Everybody goes to Nike. Everybody goes to New Balance. Everybody wants the same thing. But very few people go to those companies and say, I can do this for you. So the key to a brand partnership is figuring out how you add value to the brand. All brands are trying to sell. So at the end of the day, you just have to figure out how to help them sell more of what they're selling. And it doesn't have to be crazy numbers. If you could sell 5 more products for a brand, you are of value to that brand. You can sell 20 more products, you're that much more valuable. And brands want to build relationships with people who are adding value. So show that you can add value at 5 clients, then at 50 clients, then at 500 clients. And by starting local, you also get a chance to learn the flow. You get to learn the cadence of communicating with a brand, the cadence of learning what their needs are, the cadence of delivering, right? If a brand gives you money and says, hey, you said if I give you this, you would create 5 pieces of content and tag us, you now have to create 5 pieces of content and tag. Whether it's a local brand or Nike, it's the same approach. And most people they like the battle is, can I get the money? Can I get the money? And then the brand gives you the money, and now you're like, what am I gonna create this content about? Oh, now I gotta edit it. I don't know how to edit. Oh, now I gotta post it. Like, I don't know when to post. I gotta, my fans aren't gonna like this content. Like, you gotta plan all that out. So start local, get in the habit of doing it. And then at the end of the day, by the time you get to Nike, kind of like performing, it's the same conversation you have with the local coffee shop or the local clothing company is the same conversation you're gonna have with Starbucks and the biggest clothing company in the world. Sync licensing, if you're making money from TV, commercials, video games, and TikTok campaigns, the key is understanding what they're looking for. So if you're looking to make money from licensing and sync, the first thing you wanna do is start watching a lot of content. If you make hip hop, if you make pop, if you make popular music, then watch ESPN, watch popular TV shows, and see what kind of music they're listening to, what kind of music they're using, and start crafting that kind of music. A great place to start here, and you guys will see this as a trend, is start with like a film student or a college or university that has a film program. Because right now there's a film student who's working on a documentary, short film, a movie, a script, and they're gonna need sounds for it. And if you have music, a catalog of music, you can go to that film studio and say, hey, I would love to provide music for your upcoming film. And what you'll learn, again, is that cadence. It's always about learning that cadence of how do you communicate? How do you send files? How do you handle rejection? Hey, I sent you a photo of my best music. Yeah, I didn't like any of it. Oh, that hurts. But now what do we do? Okay, well, how about we work together on the next batch of music? Well, what about this? Send me a playlist of songs that you would use if you could. And they're gonna send you a J. Cole song and a Kendrick song and a Travis Scott song and a Beyonce song. Now, you as an artist who's trying to get into sync, can I make that kind of music? Because it's not about me making my music, it's about me making music for somebody else. So it's always about that cadence. It's always about starting small, starting local, and then growing from there. Music production, so this is a big one. If you write, sing, perform, produce, you can charge for your gifts. Learn the skill of charging for your talents. Something a lot of people don't do. Awkward conversation. I don't know how to charge the homie. Even if it's a barter agreement. Oh man, I don't know how to edit videos, but you do. But I know how to play guitar. So I'll play the guitar on these 3 tracks for you. I need you to edit these 4 social media videos for me. May not be getting cash, but instead of me now paying somebody on Fiverr or paying somebody on Upwork, I've now got someone editing my videos and I'm getting credit for doing what I do well. I'm gonna be credited as a guitarist on this song. Then from there, it could be, I charge $50 for session guitar work, $100 for session guitar work. Your price goes up as more people call you. And here's a rule of thumb for when you're charging for creative services. It took me a while to learn this. Whatever number comes in your head, double it, and that's what you say. Because you can always negotiate. So if I'm like, God, somebody wants me to play guitar on their song, never charge anybody, I don't know, maybe I could do it for like 100. If 100's what comes in my head, I'll say 200 out loud. If you say 200 and they're like, oh, cool, right away, it's already too low. If you say 200 and they're like, yo, I don't got 200, but I could probably do 150. Shoot, I was gonna do it for 100. You gonna give me $50 more? Bet, let's go. So that's how I always tell people, if you're trying to figure out pricing. Another approach for pricing is just ask them, what's your budget? I have 100 in my head, so I know what number I want. Oh, you want to play guitar? All right, what's your budget? Man, I don't really have one. I haven't really thought about it. What do you usually charge? Man, you the homie. Tell me what you got and we'll figure it out. Would you do it for like, I don't know, 300? Cool. Or let's say, would you do it for 50? 50 is low. I usually charge 200, but for you, I could do it for like 125. All right, I got you for 125. Right? Like that's the cadence. So again, by starting local, by starting small, by starting with your circle, you'll learn how to become confident in that conversation. Content creation. Again, the content creation route, or to be a content creator, is a full-time job. I would only recommend this if you are super confident and comfortable in that space of being on camera, talking to strangers, talking to nobody on camera, or displaying your life. If you are comfortable with that, if that's the route you want to go, then just study the top content creators in the world. The blueprint is there. That's the beauty of being a content creator, that you can follow what works. You can follow a Mr. Beast, you can follow a Connor Price, you could follow a La Russell. Like, you could go any route and be like, oh, I can go back to their very first video and see what they did then. I could go 2 years later and see what they did then. I could go, it's a documentary of how they built their audience. And you could follow that in your niche and it will work. Most people just don't follow through, but it will work for you. You may not be the next Mr. Beast, but I think there's a space between Mr. Beast and where you are, where you'll find happiness, where you'll be like, man, this is pretty cool. I'm getting paid to shoot content. This is wild. And then obviously, we talked about it before. If you're an artist or songwriter in this room, make sure you have an account with a PRO. So that's a BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC. Make sure you have an account with Sound Exchange. Make sure you have an account with the MLC. If you don't know how to do that, you can join 247Artists. We'll show you. You could Google it. You could ChatGPT it. But if nothing else, you should have those accounts to make sure that when your music makes money, you're making money. And then obviously for music production services, we talked about this before, but a few contracts or documents that you probably want to have in place, a work for hire template. So you want to make sure that you are credited and you want to make sure that you are paid. There's a template that I think we have on our site. If it's not, it will be there by the time this is visible for you, so that you can charge somebody for your gifts, your talents, your services. And again, there's somebody who can't do what you do, so don't undervalue what you can do today. You may be at a level 2 out of 10 today, but somebody who's at a level 1 will pay a level 2, right? You may be at a level 3, somebody who has at a level 2 will pay a level 3. So you don't have to wait until you're an expert to charge somebody, but you just gotta grow with those people and be like, all right, well, you need somebody to play guitar? I can play guitar. I can't play like those people can play guitar, but I can play like this. And I'll pay somebody who can play guitar because I can't play guitar at all. So, and then last but not least, business skills. So if you're in this room and you're trying to monetize, there's certain soft skills that are needed, but they're just general skills that you want to get really good at. You need to understand the basics of accounting, money in, money out, meaning earlier what I said, if you're selling merch, if nothing else, whatever the merch costs you, charge more than that, right? That's basic business, but you'll be amazed how many artists don't do that. I'll see somebody sell $20 with free shipping. I'm like, well, how much are you getting a shirt for? Oh, I'm getting a shirt for $15. Oh, okay. How much it cost you to ship? Well, it cost me like $9, 15 plus 9, and you sell a shirt for 20. Yo, it's costing you to sell these shirts. Nah, I'm only selling shirts for 15. Yeah, but it costs you to ship it. Like that, you're losing money. So just like basic math, you don't have to be an accountant to understand the simplest math equation is whatever it costs me, I got to charge more than that, right? Contracts. You should get really good at understanding your contracts. So the key to this, there are a lot of local, especially in DC. DC is one of the unique cities that has this. Almost every college in DC has a law program, and almost every law program, their law students have to have a certain number of hours worked before they graduate. Those hours worked are creating contracts. So you can go to Georgetown, you can go to Maryland, you can go to George Washington, you can go to UMBC. There's like 8 more colleges, universities in this area. You can go to their law department or law program. You can say, I'm an independent artist. I need a contract for this. I need a contract for this. I need a contract for this. It takes a long time because they're using you as a case study to teach their students. But the end result is you will get a contract. So if you don't have any money, you can go to a local law school and basically work with law students and their professor to create a contract for you. The advantage from that, though, is you can learn through that process. Okay, you gave me this contract with 8 paragraphs. Explain each paragraph to me like I'm an idiot, like I don't know what it is. Okay, this contract, this paragraph speaks about who's involved in the deal. This speaks about what we're working on. This speaks about how I'm getting paid. This speaks about what happens if I don't get paid. This speaks about what happens if I did, that's how you got to look at a contract. So that's a skill that I think everybody should know. And then general music industry knowledge. If you're a part of 247 Artists, you know that's our foundation is education. It's why we're here today. But whether you're listening to music podcasts, whether you're reading books, whether you're watching YouTube content from people who talk about the music industry and gems and game, you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the industry. That's super important, right? That's one of the things that I think, again, costs you nothing and can give you a competitive edge. All right. So now, before we wrap, if you don't have one, please come get one of these workbooks. You all will see that in this workbook that we put together, it starts with a questionnaire, and then it goes through kind of you answering questions and you designing out your program. But I'm just going to go through this first page. What kind of creative are you? So if you're a performer, you love being in the spotlight and connecting with people. If you're introverted, you thrive in the creative process, but prefer expressing through recording and content. Like you don't necessarily have to be out there. If you're tech savvy, you're really good with social platforms. Maybe you know how to edit in CapCut. Maybe you know how to use filters and make people look good. And you can build a fan base there. You can check 1, 2, or multiple. And then based on those answers, you'll see that it gives you different paths. So if you selected performer, then in the workbook, you would go through path 1 and you would say, all right, where am I strong and where can I improve, right? So do I have great stage presence? If yes, get on stage. If no, find a sofa, find an open mic, get comfortable. Am I charismatic, right? Can I speak in front of people? Can I carry myself well? If not, what are the things that I can do to get better at that? Go to mixers, go to meet and greets, go to conferences. I'm gonna go to this conference and I'm gonna speak to 10 people who I don't know, and I'm gonna exchange contact information, right? If that's something I'm not good at doing, only way I can get better is I have to do the thing. Am I good with interacting with fans and people, right? A lot of people will be like, man, I wanna be an influencer, but they don't like people, right? It's like that weird thing of the idea of being an influencer is the cool thing, but the idea of a stranger walking up to you and being like, hey, what's up? Like they know you would throw you off, and you probably don't want to be an influencer. So you got to figure some of these things out, right? Like go through this, and by answering these questions, your strengths and weaknesses, then you'll go through, this is your workbook. You're only going to see it. You're not turning it in. I'll never see it. No one else will ever see it. So be honest with yourself. When it says, how do you rate your stage presence? If you know you're a 1, do not give yourself a 6. Give yourself a 1 and set a goal to get from 1 to 2. Most people stop because we're really a 1. In our outside, we tell people we're a 6, and then we operate like we're already a 6 when we're a 1. So we don't put any work in to get from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. The people who make it in our industry aren't more talented. This is not an industry of talent. I've said that publicly. I'll say it till the day I die. If it was an industry of talent, the 10-year-old kid who can play Mozart and play every classical instrument and play with his eyes closed would get the record contract, right? This is an industry of hard work and luck. You can't control luck. You can only control the hard work. So if you want to control the hard work, I'm a 1 out of 10 right now. How do I get from 1 to 2? I'm gonna practice this skill every day. I'm gonna dedicate this many hours a week. I'm gonna put myself in these uncomfortable positions to get better. So once you finish this workbook, it should hopefully give you some clarity as to what your next steps are. And then the beauty of this workbook is, I would say like twice a year, you can go back and just answer the questions again. And it should constantly evolve. You should see like an evolution of yourself as an artist, as a creative, to where you're like, wait a minute, like, damn, I felt like I was a 1, but on the real, I feel like I'm a 3 right now. Damn, I wasn't good with dealing with people, but now like I can walk up to anybody and like have a conversation. I have no problem selling. I can send a text message to everybody without feeling like a loser. I can go on IG Live, and if nobody's on there, I'm still gonna be me. I couldn't do that before, but now I can. And here's the secret: it's like you don't stay normal. You don't work hard at being better, and your circumstances stay the same. You work hard at getting better, and your circumstances get better with you. That's how life works. So go through this workbook. Thank y'all for coming. I'm gonna shut it down now because I know the team's got to eat. Thank y'all so much. If you're staying around for the pitches, that's gonna start in like 20 minutes. If you're here for the pitch, if you haven't registered already, please register at the table outside. But thank y'all again for this.